For the November 6th, 2012 meeting of the Downers Grove Village Council, it is my pleasure and privilege to call this meeting to order, especially on election night. There are copies of our agenda on both sides of the room if you'd like to pick one up and follow along with us tonight. There will be multiple opportunities for public comment, both with respect to matters that are on our agenda as well as items that are not on our agenda, and that's a section we call public comment on matters of a general nature. So if you'd like to speak on any of those issues at those points in time, there will be plenty of opportunities. It is customary for us to begin our meetings by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. And tonight we have some very special guests who are going to help us lead the pledge. And again, you guys got a great night. It's election night. I'm wearing a flag tie. We're all wearing I voted stickers. So this is a great night to lead the pledge. It's very special. We both have Boy Scouts from Troop 57 as well as Scouts from Pack 57 at Hillcrest here tonight. And gentlemen, I'd like to ask you to all please come up right up in front here. And it will take you a moment. People, would you mind grabbing that? Great job. We'll let you all get up here.
The flag's behind
All right.
you, guys. The flag's behind you.
Everybody in position? All right, two very important things. One, the camera is in front of you, but the more important thing is the flag, and that's behind you. So we're all going to turn around, and we're going to recite the pledge. You guys are going to start us off. Ready? Set. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well done. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let you guys return to your seats. In just a moment, we're going to ask our fine village clerk to call the roll. Thank you very much. And on cue, that was our fine village clerk. Ms. April Holden, for those of you watching. Doesn't get on camera very much. She likes it that way. Every now and then. So, can we please have a call the roll?
Commissioner Rankin? Here. Commissioner Barnett?
Here.
Commissioner Neustadt?
Here.
Commissioner Durkin?
Here.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Here.
Commissioner Schnell? Here. Mayor Tully?
Here. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 4 on our agenda tonight. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. I was so anxious to get the public comment. We actually have to stop and take care of item 3 first. And those are consideration and adoption of minutes from prior council meetings. We have one set of minutes on tonight's agenda. And those are regular council meeting minutes from October 16, 2012. Are there any corrections or changes from any members of the council? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? Those minutes are adopted. Thank you very much. Now that brings us to item 4 on our agenda, which is a section of the meeting when we entertain comments on general matters on items not appearing on tonight's agenda. So if any of our guests have any questions or comments with respect to items of a general nature, items that are not on our agenda for discussion later tonight, the protocol is to please come down to the podium, give us your name and address, and we welcome hearing from you. Are there any questions or comments of a general nature? All right, hearing none, I'm going to stop then and read a proclamation, which is going to be a little bit premature, but since we have Troop 57 here in the audience, I'd like to honor them by at least reading the proclamation. And there will be a celebration coming up later on this month that we very much appreciated the invitation to, and we're looking forward, as many of us as possible, in joining you. So we can do this once, then we'll do it again at the celebration. Whereas the Boy Scouts of America, a volunteer organization, was incorporated by Chicago publisher William D. Boyce on February 8, 1910. And whereas the purpose of the Boy Scouts of America is to teach America's youth patriotism, courage, self-reliance, and kindred values. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America has and continues to live out its commitment to helping millions of youth succeed by providing the support, friendship, and mentoring necessary to live happy and fulfilling lives. And whereas on November 7th, 1962, St. Paul's United Church of Christ was granted a charter from the West Suburban Council of Boy Scouts of America. And whereas since 1965, Troop 57 has produced over 60 Eagle Scouts. Wow. Whereas Troop 57 is celebrating their golden anniversary on November 15th, 2012. Now, therefore, I, Martin T. Tully, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, do hereby proclaim Thursday, November 15th, 2012 as Boy Scouts Day, in the village of Downers Grove, and we may do that again next week. But we have so many scouts here tonight, I just had to read it. So thank you very much for coming here. Gentlemen, if you'd like, I would be pleased to present you with this proclamation. If scouts from Troop 57 could please come up to the front. And I'll come down there. You guys want to step right up front here? Remember the most important thing is the flags over there. The second most important thing is the cameras, right? Otherwise, the folks at home can't see you. So I'll come over here, give you the proclamation. You hold that up, shake your hands. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. And I will hopefully see you at the celebration. Seems like I've walked up that before. All right, thank you very much for indulging me. That brings us to item 5, public hearings. And we have a public hearing tonight on our 2013 fiscal year budget. This public hearing will please come to order. This public hearing has been called by the Village Council to consider the proposed village budget for fiscal year 2013. Notice that this hearing was published in the Downers Grove Reporter, and a certificate of publication is made part of these proceedings. I would like to summarize the procedures which we will follow for tonight's public hearing. First, Dave Fieldman, village manager, will provide an overview of the proposed budget. Second, there will be an opportunity for members of the Village Council to ask questions or make comments. Next, there will be an opportunity for members of the public to make statements or comments or to submit written statements or comments for the record. Fourth, I will again ask if any members of the Village Council wish to make a statement or ask a question. Fifth and last, thereafter, I will ask for a motion to adjourn the public hearing. At this hearing, no witnesses will be sworn, but a verbatim transcript of the statements or testimony given at the hearing will not be prepared. However, recording of these procedures will be made on village equipment and retained until minutes of the hearing have been prepared and approved by the Village Council. So with that introduction, I will now turn item over for the first part, which is the presentation and overview by David Fieldman, Village Manager. Mr. Fieldman.
Well, we really have no further presentation of this budget, Mayor and Council, because it has been published in late September and discussed at no less than 4 Village Council meetings all through October. So I'm happy to report that the proposed budget has not changed. We continue to recommend approval of the proposed budget, and I will just go through the 4 key points. This budget does implement the stormwater utility. It reduces the property tax levy. This is the second year in a row village property tax levy is going down. It includes a balanced general fund, and it includes funding for us to continue to invest in our infrastructure needs. So with that, Mayor, that concludes our very abbreviated presentation of the budget.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments at this point from any members of the Village Council with respect to the proposed budget? And don't take the fact there may not be any to be an indication that there hasn't been robust discussion of the budget, because as Mr. Fieldman mentioned, we've had a number of public meetings previously to this where there have been a number of questions and comments both verbally and in writing. But all that said, are there any questions from any members of the Village Council with respect to the proposed fiscal 2013 budget at this point? Very good. Then I would ask if there are any questions or comments from any members of the audience with respect to the proposed fiscal year 2013 budget. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Tully, commissioners and staff. I'm Gordon Goodman. I live at 5834 Middaugh. And I appreciate the fact that this budget has been discussed often and at length. I did get an opportunity to participate in one of those discussions. But I think the public hearing is a particular matter of public record that may be a little more clear than some of those other discussions. And so I want to raise at this public hearing the same question that I raised earlier, and that is about the implementation of the community grants, which are still authorized by the village ordinances. and were suspended during the course of a budget discussion a couple of years ago. Now that the village finances are beginning to heal, I think that it's appropriate for the council to return to the issue of whether this ordinance for community grants is still public policy. And if it is, to address how those public grants should be funded and implemented. When I've asked the staff about this and whether there were any proposals in the current budget regarding this, the response I remember is that the staff has received guidance from the council that they are suspended. And until it receives guidance from the council that they should be implemented again or even considered again, the staff will do nothing toward evaluating the availability of funds or the possible implementation of community grants. So my question to the council is, when will you revisit this issue? And is it a proper subject for discussion in the current budget? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Goodman. I think the comment was made last time is that it may, considering, depending on the views of the council, be a topic for future long-range financial planning discussions. Any other questions or comments of the general name? Any other questions or comments with respect to the proposed fiscal 2013 budget from any members of the audience? All right, thank you. Hearing none, I will then go to item 4 and ask once again if any member of the village council wishes to make a statement or ask a question with respect to the proposed 2013 budget. Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Goodman came to us before and asked this question, and I don't know that we've answered it in any kind of official way, except to say that at any given time over the last 2 months, some member of this body could certainly have raised it and asked that their colleagues get into it, and that, to my knowledge, has not been done. So I think the short answer is that the folks currently sitting up here in general are not thinking that this is an appropriate subject to get into, at least in the near future. That's probably maybe too much to say for everybody, but nobody up here has brought it forward and said they want it pursued, and so I think that kind of is the answer to the question.
I think that's right.
Correct.
Because long-range financial planning that led to the budget we're now considering was conducted some time ago. It guided what's reflected in this budget. And again, as Commissioner Barnett points out, it's not that it's somehow carved in stone at this point in time, but it is driven by discussions and decisions that were made earlier. And I would imagine that if someone were to express a view that this is a subject that should be revisited, or any subject should be revisited, it would be one that would be expressed probably the next time we engage in long-range financial planning. I think that's maybe a more long-winded way of saying what Commissioner Barnett just did. Any other questions or comments or statements from any members of the Village Council? Commissioner Waldeck.
Thank you, Mayor. I do intend to make a longer budget address when we finally get around to voting on a budget, but I will agree with Dr. Goodman that I continue to be disappointed that we do not revisit, and we have not this time revisited, the community grants, senior transportation, programs such as Meals on Wheels, and similar budgets as I've done in the past. But looking at or hearing the conversation from a couple meetings ago when Dr. Goodman first brought this up, it's very clear that these discussions that have been held before long-range financial planning, during budget sessions and so forth, that there's really no appetite at this time to pursue these other budgetary matters. And the discussion last time when Dr. Goodman brought it up seemed to border on the tense. And while I do agree that we should revisit and look to fund these programs, and I'm disappointed that we are not, I just don't think that at this budget time, at this budget discussion, that the majority of council is interested in pursuing those matters at this time. So that's why I've never brought it up earlier. But Dr. Goodman, I do agree with you. We will continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions or comments or statements from members of the council with respect to the proposed 2013 budget? All right, hearing none, I will then ask for a motion to adjourn this public hearing.
Second.
I guess we need a roll call on that, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Newstat?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye, thank you. Public hearing on the budget, proposed budget, is adjourned. That brings us to item 6 on our agenda, which is our consent agenda. And just let everyone know that item 6G, as in Gus, has been removed from the consent agenda for treatment separately. So with that notification, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments from any members of the audience on any of the items of the amended consent agenda? Any questions or comments from any members of the village council with respect to the amended consent agenda? Hearing none, make a roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin? Aye. Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Newstat?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. The amended consent agenda passes unanimously. Now, I will turn to the item that was removed from the consent agenda, and we'll deal with it as part of the pre-active agenda, we'll call it. Do I have a motion to adopt a resolution regarding travel and training reimbursement policy for the village council?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments from any members of the audience with respect to this item? Any questions or comments from members of the village council with respect to this item? Commissioner Newstat.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, colleagues, for removing it from the consent agenda. I will be voting in the negative for this policy. I'm very happy to see that we actually have a policy to abide by, but there are certain components of it that I do not agree with. So rather than voting no for the entire consent agenda, I will be voting no for just this one single item. So thank you all for removing it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other questions or comments? Commissioner Barnett?
I just want to second everything Commissioner Newstat said.
Any thirds?
What counts? No, I'm fine.
All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin?
Nay.
Commissioner Barnett?
Nay.
Commissioner Newstat?
Nay.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. Matter passes 4-3. Don't give any split votes. Hey, it's a really special night, you guys. Doesn't happen very often. You picked a good one. All right, that is the conclusion of our consent agenda. Let's go to the regularly scheduled and reported active agenda, which is item 7. We have 2 items on our active agenda. First, do I have 7A? Do I have a motion to approve a redevelopment sales tax rebate agreement with Napleton Gold Coast Imports, Inc.?
Mayor Tully, I move to adopt an ordinance approving a redevelopment sales tax rebate agreement between the Village of Downers Grove and Napleton Gold Coast Imports Incorporated as presented.
Second.
Any questions or comments from any members of the audience? I know there's a representative here tonight. Thank you for being here. Any questions or comments from any members of the audience? Any questions or comments from members of the Village Council? Commissioner Durkin?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the petitioner and the representative from the auto group today that's with us for their diligence in getting the information to the questions that I've addressed and concerns I had. I will be supporting this, and I welcome you with open arms to Downers Grove and look for a long-term relationship. I know I said it before that when we approved the Downers Grove, or Bentley of Downers Grove, that others would come, and this is a perfect example of a high-end automotive organization, Aston Martin, coming to Downers Grove. And by all means, you've already met and worked with Michael Casa and our staff. If you have any questions, please, we're here to help and make a great partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said, Commissioner. Any other questions or comments from other members of the council? I'll just echo what Commissioner Durkin said. I think this is a great relationship. We're glad to have this business in our town. Wish it much success. I think it's a good relationship, a good agreement, and I think it's a real win-win for everyone. So welcome to Downers Grove. We're glad to have you, and thanks to everyone that worked very hard to make this partnership possible. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Newstat?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. Matter passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 7B as in boy. Do I have a motion to adopt an ordinance establishing provisions for lot consolidations?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments from any members of the audience? Any questions or comments from members of the village council? Commissioner Waldeck.
Thank you, Mayor. After we workshopped this, I had some concerns at the workshop. I agree that under certain conditions, we need to streamline our processes and make them less burdensome. The time and costs associated with consolidation should be addressed. My concern remains with transparency and notification. If we were to publish on a consent agenda and still require council approval, it would take a council about a minute of our precious time. Staff preparation of e-sheets, since it is all standardized, may take up to 5 minutes. Not a very long time. If we were to make this totally administrative, as is proposed, notification on the bottom of an agenda or on a manager's report would take moments. Many of these consolidations are coming either from or related to actions by developers, and this may be in anticipation of a larger development, large or small. This could affect the neighborhood and could serve as a heads up to the neighborhood as to what's going on. Why do we want to bury this in administration, be less transparent? To say we don't publish building permits, so we should provide less transparency as lot consolidations is really comparing apples and oranges. Land acquisition and consolidations often precede projects, and once these consolidations are fully accomplished, they themselves become strong arguments for proceeding with possible controversial development. At the very least, we should at least have more public notice of a backroom approval. While I support streamlining the process, lot consolidations are a public process that at least should be publicly noticed. What we have proposed does not require a notice on a manager's report or any type of public notice, so I can't support a process that decreases transparency to the extent that this proposal does. So I will not be supporting this particular item. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rankin.
I'm going to repeat some of the comments I made last week. I'd like to applaud staff for bringing this forward. I think this just saves time for our residents, not only by them not having to go through the lengthy process, but the time to get their project started, which often is very critical, due to the seasons and other things. I think it empowers our staff to make decisions. It saves time for the Plan Commission. Our volunteers' time is very valuable to them, and we appreciate the time they serve. It streamlines the process and removes barriers, so I will be supporting this. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other questions or comments from members of the council? My only comment is, well, it's twofold. One is this was driven by basically those who were requesting a more streamlined process, and my recollection is I can't think of a lot consolidation of the type that we're talking about here that was commercial. It was all residential. Basically, these were residents who wanted to combine lots, and rather than making them go through more hoops, there was a perceived need to streamline the process, as Commissioner Rankin says, to their benefit. That's really the driving force behind this. There was no inkling of any kind of reduction in transparency or increase in making things back room or whatnot. I bristle at the suggestion of that because these are noticed. This is all public. There's nothing that's going to be hidden from anybody. What we're doing is removing some red tape. What we're doing is removing another piece of bureaucracy. That's what we're doing because lot consolidations are no-brainers. And the issue that I hear some concern being expressed about is not the lot consolidation, but what might be constructed on the consolidated lot. And those are two very different things. Because if the concern is really about the quote-unquote controversial development, there's a boatload of notice when it comes to that. If you're talking about residential development, I know from firsthand experience that you actually have to knock on your neighbor's doors and get them to sign a piece of paper after you've explained to them with blueprints in hand what it is that you're building. I can't think of any better notice than physically knocking on someone's door. I just can't conceive of it. And if we're talking about commercial lot consolidation, I can't think in the 10 years that I've been up here with a 2-year break of one instance where the consolidation wasn't part of a much bigger package that usually involves some zoning or special use or something that was, again, received a boatload of notice. And to the extent that there was anything controversial about it, there was absolutely no excuse for anyone not to know about it. So I bristle at the suggestion that this is any way reducing transparency. It was all about reducing red tape and eliminating barriers to what good-intentioned residents were trying to accomplish with their own properties. And to the extent that someone would find that controversial, their neighbors are going to have plenty of opportunities to find out what it is that might be built when the time comes to actually build something. All we're talking about here is consolidating two lots, which has the side benefit of eliminating residential redevelopment problems, increasing the ability to deal with stormwater, increasing setbacks, all the sorts of things that we dealt with several years ago when there was a wave of lot splits. This is just that in reverse. So that's my only comment, and obviously I'll be in favor of this. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Newstead?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Nay.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. Matter passes 6-1. That brings us to the end of our active agenda, and that brings us to Section 8 on our agenda, our first reading or our workshop segment of our meeting, where we entertain matters for presentation and discussion, but they will not be acted upon until a later point in time. And as the village manager mentioned, I believe items 8A and 8B have both been removed from our first reading / workshop agenda this evening at the request of the petitioner, and they may be reconsidered at a future date, the time and date of which is not yet known.
That is correct.
All right, very good. Well, that brings us to item 8C and D. So let's begin with 8C, please. And as is customary, I'll turn this portion of the meeting over to Manager Fieldman for a presentation of the items.
Thank you, Mayor Tully. Item C is consideration of award of contract for snow and ice control with snow systems of Wheeling, Illinois. And here to present this item is our Public Works Director, Dan Newell.
Good evening.
Good evening. Motion is requested to authorize a 3-year contract with Specialty Winter Operations Services of Wheeling, Illinois, in the amount of $320,680.88 for the 3-year term. This contract covers snow and ice removal services for walkways within the downtown, at the 3 commuter stations, and at the Civic Center. Snow removal on the rail platforms, which we are responsible for 2 of them, at Fairview and at Main Street, have become increasingly subject to safety regulations by the Burlington Northern Railroad. For work next to the tracks, we're having to do more handwork and have separate spotters in addition to our people out there clearing snow. So those are some of the reasons that have made this more labor intensive. The proposed contract is a unit price contract, and the annual cost is based on the number of snow clearing events performed. The contract provides for an amount of $103,750 for services this season, which was calculated based on averaging the past 5 winter snow seasons. The cost of these services will be more than offset by corresponding savings, which include reduction in the cost of owning and maintaining 4 pieces of specialized equipment that we only use during this special snow season, in these special areas. Village staff overtime, de-icing chemicals, liability, and other contracted services. By implementing the contract for these services, we will be able to reassign the 4 maintenance workers who work in these areas to assist with our 10 plow routes, which will reduce the time needed to perform a complete cycle of snow removal and reduce the amount of overtime needed for the entire operation. The contractor will provide all labor, equipment, and materials needed to perform the work, as described by the contract. They will be called for service by the on-duty village snow supervisor based on the forecasted winter conditions, and the area covered by the contract has been prioritized and described to reflect the level of service that is currently provided by village staff. Snow Systems of Wheeling was the lowest qualified bidder of the 4 that we received. They have been providing these services throughout the Chicagoland area for more than 33 years, and their fleet consists of over 400 pieces of equipment. They have provided similar downtown snow removal services for the cities of Highland Park and Des Plaines, as well as the DuPage Airport Authority, and many private enterprises. They have received very positive recommendations, and staff recommends award of this contract to Snow Systems of Wheeling, Illinois. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions or comments on this item from any members of the audience? Any questions or, please, come to the podium. Share with us your name and address, and we'd love to hear from you. Good evening.
Good evening, Anthony Chang. I'm at 5507 Library Terrace. Thank you very much for the proposal. I myself am a proponent of offloading to any outsourced vendors whenever possible. Typically, I'm more accustomed to seeing like a return on investment or a calculated cost savings from soft costs versus the cost expended for the contract. Do we have anything like that available for this?
We do, actually. We should save somewhere between $8,000 and $9,000 a year on the cash side, but most importantly, that service level increase that Director Newland talked about, it actually allows us to get through our plow routes around 30% quicker as we redeploy our existing resources. So 30% in a level of service improvement.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Any other questions or comments from members of the audience with respect to this item? Questions or comments from the council? Commissioner Neustadt?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be in support of this, but I think it's very important to note that the level of service that we're accustomed to from our staff is extremely high. I know the contract and the agreement was written to, allow for a very close look for this first year of the contract to make sure that we have achieved that same kind of service level from this contractor. One of the main reasons why I'm supporting it also is because we will be able to use those very skilled staff members on the snowplow routes and the bigger, more specialized equipment. I think that that's going to increase the service level on the other side while we maintain what we have here in the downtown and at the platform. So, excuse me. It's one of those things that I think we're all going to be paying attention to, definitely the 7 of us, but the other important thing is there'll be Village of Downers Grove supervisors and staff in the downtown still clearing the roadways and checking out, making sure that this contractor is performing at the high level that we've come to know and appreciate. So first year is always the most important. We'll see. I did look at the website from the contractor. They do have a lot of similar equipment to what we have, and it seems like that they'll be ready to do the work. And obviously, they will not be allowed to put the snow into the roadway. There are some designated spots that are in the agreement where they can deposit the snow, and then we will pick up over larger snow events if needed. So I think it's a good deal. Looking forward to making sure that our streets are taken care of the right way and sidewalks. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other questions or comments? Commissioner Schnell?
Just I agree with everything that Commissioner Neustadt said. The only other question or comment I have is if they do not meet our expectations, we do have the ability to get out of the contract.
That's correct. As in all of our contracts, we can cancel for no reason or any reason. And what we want to do is just continue to work with them and monitor and make sure they're responding according to our service levels that we prescribed, and if there are any issues, we will immediately address it.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnett?
A couple things, Mayor. First of all, I want to just highlight that this is kind of a continuation in theme, not unlike some of our VOC work and other activities. We believe we're going to have a slight reduction in cost and an increase in service levels. But additionally, we're sort of hedging against future expense increases. As Nan referred to, the BNSF has made this activity that we're expected to do a more expensive proposition, not unlike some of the EPA comments you've heard from me in the past. Things beyond our control are driving our costs up even beyond what people might consider normal costs of those employees year to year. There are now more of them required, different equipment required. So this does, I think, the two obvious things, but I think it also is important to note that we're trying to hedge against future cost increases. There's a real value there, I think. I'd like to know between now and next week, if we could, I'd like to know more about Greengrass Inc. and their bid. The differential was awfully small, and Greengrass is sort of a native, if you will. And I think probably that we're headed down the right path here, but I'd like to know more about their company and their bid, if we could, for next week, between now and next week.
We will provide that information.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? I'll just add and pick up on the congratulatory tone of Commissioner Barnett's comments that we appreciate the diligence and the persistence by which staff is always looking for opportunities to do something different in ways that either reduce costs or enhance services. So we appreciate it very much every time that can be accomplished. So thank you for bringing this opportunity forward.
Thank you. And then the last item on tonight's first reading agenda is the estimate for the 2012 aggregate tax levy for the Village of Downers Grove. This information is consistent with the information in our budget, but as is our custom, we'll turn it over to our Deputy Village Manager, Mike Baker, for the annual presentation.
Who's known affectionately as Mike Levy Baker.
That's right. Thinking of having my name formally changed. Thanks, Dave. In accordance with state law, at next week's council meeting, staff will be requesting a motion setting the estimated aggregate tax levy for the Village of Downers Grove. This is a required step and ultimately results in the property taxes and property tax amounts that will appear on the tax bills that are issued in the spring of 13 for the Village of Downers Grove portion only, which, as we said during our budget meeting, represents about 10% of a homeowner's average tax bill. We wanted to include the timeline for the budget and tax levy process, and as alluded to earlier, you can see it's an extensive process that began really with in early October and continues through December, at which time the tax levy will be approved. Here we are on November 6th with the discussion of the estimated tax levy. Again, some information that you heard a little bit earlier, so I won't repeat it, but all of the key points and highlights related to the 2013 budget have either very direct or indirect connection to the tax levy, which really highlights the importance of this action that we take. The numbers, and this is a summary of the staff report, the figures that you see in the staff report, and it shows the village-only portion of the overall tax levy. And the column in the middle, labeled before abatements, represents the amount that will be levied. And the column on the right is the amount that will ultimately be part of what appears on the tax bills within the community after the abatement process takes place. The abatement process is essentially a way of recognizing alternative sources of revenue that are available to pay for, in this case, you can see the debt service portion of the levy in lieu of property taxes. So because we have those revenue sources already in place, we don't need to levy about $8.6 million, and that's why the amount you see there, just over $11 million in the lower right-hand corner, is what will appear as what we anticipate for the village portion of the total tax levy. There is quite a bit more information that was discussed earlier in the budget process. I'm not going to go through it in detail now, but what I will do is make reference to where people can find it if they want to study in depth the village tax levy, especially as it compares to last year's levy. And in the budget message on pages 5 and 6, we provide an extensive amount of information available on the village website at www.downers.us. And if you click on village budget, it'll take you right to that budget message section, which again on pages 5 and 6, people can turn to look for even more information if they're so interested. That was my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baker. Any questions from any members of the audience with respect to the 2012 aggregate tax levy? Questions or comments from the Village Council? Commissioner Waldeck.
Just to be more concise, what we'll be voting on is an estimated tax levy, which is the first step, which means that whatever we vote on at that time cannot be raised higher than that, but before we finalize it, we can always go lower.
That is correct.
Okay. Just wanted to get that out in the public in case somebody has an idea that we can lower it, and we aren't stuck with the particular number. We just can't go higher. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm just going to hit a few points that I think I hit every year when we talk about the tax levy. First of all, Mr. Baker, it's November. Why are we talking about the 2012 tax levy? I'm going to throw a bunch of softballs to you.
Yeah, I know. I've gotten this question enough times, I should be able to just roll off my tongue. The levy process is always conducted 1 year in arrears. So based on the way, because this all really originates with the assessment process of property that's conducted by the Township Assessor's Office, and we have to conform with their schedule.
Abatements, every year. The word abatement makes my eyes roll back in my head. If I had this correct, the concept of an abatement is basically we levy a certain dollar amount in property taxes. But then due to abatements, there's a portion of it that we do not collect. So we levy it, but similar to what Commissioner Waldeck was talking about, through the abatement process, because of alternative revenue sources other than property taxes, we don't collect the full amount of the levy. But we obviously have to discuss and notice the full amount, but the abatements are a portion of the levy that is not collected.
That's correct.
It'd be a lot simpler if we just had one number and that was it, but that's not the way it works. As long as you have that slide up, my third point is I think it's pretty significant to look at that debt service row on the chart that you have up there, which shows that after abatements, we will not be levying any property taxes whatsoever for the purposes of paying debt service.
That's correct as well.
I mean, I think that's significant for our residents to understand, that there are other sources of revenue that can go to that debt service so that no property taxes are.
Just to clarify, there is a small component that goes to debt service.
There's always a but.
It's labeled capital. A portion of that $971,524 goes to pay off the bonds that were issued last year for street improvements, pursuant to a plan that originated in 2008.
I was about to turn to that, but thank you for clarifying that, lest there be any misimpression. And then last, and this is always an issue that creates some confusion because I don't think I've yet to understand it. The truth in taxation notice that actually shows up in the newspaper is usually incomprehensible by human beings. Are we going to once again have some sort of this is what you will be seeing, and that we have to say these things because state law requires us to, but here's what it actually means? Will we be doing that once again as we typically do? Because I think it's been very helpful, as folks get that full page, 6-point type font notice that seems very alarming, and it needs to be considered in context.
We can provide that information as well.
And I know we always do, so I appreciate it. Thank you. Those are all the questions I had, unless there were any others. Thank you for the presentation.
And that ends our first reading tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 9 on our agenda, the mayor's report. I have no report tonight. Brings us to the manager's report, item 10.
Neither do I, Mayor. Thank you.
Go for the trifecta, attorney's report. Wow. Scouts left early, that's another first. Brings us to item 12, council member reports and new business. As is customary, I will begin by asking if any member of the village council has any items of new business they would like to raise before the council. Any items of new business? Hearing no new business, council member reports. Commissioner Neustadt.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things tonight. We need some ornaments for our holiday tree. The tree is up down at the train station at Main Street. Ornaments must be delivered to Village Hall by next Monday, November 12th. You can check out our website for some of the guidelines and sizes and what we're looking for materials. Sorry the scouts left because they're usually good at making some ornaments for us. I'm sure maybe those groups have already done that. And second, today is my son David's birthday. He turned 4 today. He was here at Village Hall for a little while with us, but I just wanted to say happy birthday, David. You should not still be awake, but if you are, happy birthday, and I hope you had a great birthday.
He's watching the tight race in Ohio, right?
Might be.
Well, happy birthday to your son.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rankin.
No report, thank you.
Commissioner Waldeck.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Commissioner Schnell.
Just quickly, thank you to all the people who visited the pancake breakfast for HDNA. It was a huge success, the best actually they've ever had. So thank you to our residents that ate pancakes and enjoyed themselves downtown with the festivities.
Very good. Thank you. Commissioner Durkin.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I actually have a little compliment I want to give to one of our residents. In the November-December edition of the West Suburban Living magazine, which is in your mailboxes now, or coming very soon if you haven't gotten it, there's a segment in here where they call it the West Suburbanites of the Year. And I don't know if anyone has seen this, but it's making a difference in the community. And there were 5 recipients of this award that were given out. And one of the recipients is our very own Willis Johnson of the Tivoli Enterprises. And he was acknowledged for the amount of things and everything he's done in the communities that he not only lives in, but he also operates his movie theaters from. And if you will allow me, Mayor, I'd like to just mention a few of the samplings of the Community Service Awards that Mr. Johnson himself has received. 1994 Citizen of the Year, Downers Grove Chamber of Commerce. 2007 was inducted into the Civic Hall of Fame by the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce. In 2011 received, along with his wife Shirley, the Richard H. Driehaus Foundation Historic Preservation Award for stewardship of classic cinema's architecturally significant properties. And in 2012 was honored along with wife Shirley with the Community Merit Award from the Oak Park Development Corporation. It's a very interesting article. Even though it's short, there's a lot of great detail, a lot of information, and it's one of those treasures of Downers Grove, of what makes Downers Grove unique and good and nice, and the great community that we are, that we have residents and business owners like the Johnsons that live here, and there's so many others, but unfortunately you only find out about it when publications such as this or others acknowledge them for their hard work and dedication to our community. So not only has he spoiled us in Downers Grove, but he's done that in other towns, and I just want to thank him for his continued commitment to our community along with his family. And as many of us know, it wouldn't be the holiday seasons if it wasn't for the rebroadcasting, showing of the movies of our holiday season at the Tivoli Theater here in Downers Grove, and all the stuff that the Johnsons do in reference to the It's a Wonderful Life fundraiser that they put on for the Sharing Connection Home Furniture Bank. I hope I got their name right. If not, they're a Downers Grove nonprofit organization. If you don't know anything about them, let me know. I will get all the information to you. So with that, I thank you for the time. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Commissioner Barnett.
I have nothing there.
Just a few things. First of all, I want to congratulate the Indian Boundary YMCA on another successful gala this past weekend. It was also an event for a great cause, and the YMCA in our community is a big part of our community in many different ways, and give back to it in a number of ways that we also need to celebrate because they are a big part, and their commitment to making sure that kids are allowed to participate regardless of whether their means to allow them to otherwise do so, I think is an important contribution to our community. Second, wanted to congratulate Flavor Chem and the Sprovieri family on the recent dedication of a 47,000 square foot new liquid production facility, which they're adding to their Downers Grove campus. Flavor Chem is a delicious part of Downers Grove. They were founded by the Sprovieri family in, I think, 1971 and have been based in Downers Grove since 1982 and have now most of their production facilities here, and basically they manufacture custom flavors and scents and colors that show up in many of the products that we all use every day and don't even know about it. Some of us had the opportunity to attend their ribbon cutting and tour their very handsome and impressive facility. And once again, we congratulate them on their investment in Downers Grove. It's greatly appreciated as they expand their operations, as they have some internationally recognized customers and another growing part of our community that we're glad to celebrate. I want to third congratulate everyone running for office and all those candidates who, regardless of the outcome, have the mettle to put themselves out for public office. It's a bold and noble thing to do, or at least it should be most of the time, notwithstanding some of the noise that one sees on radio and television. So congratulations to all candidates for pursuit of office, regardless of what tonight's outcome might be. And last, I just have to identify that we have a real dilemma here in town, because the Downers Grove North Trojan football team is playing Bennett Academy at North. And so we're going to have brother against brother and neighbor against neighbor with respect to this football game. But, I mean, you think you know where my allegiances lie. I have to say, go Trojans, good luck as they advance to the IHA quarterfinals. So very exciting, but it should be a very Downer-esque football game on November 10th, given the two teams that are playing. So we'll look forward to that. And with that, I have nothing further. I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Newstead?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you and good night.
That just changed.